Hi, in this video we are going to learn about graphs of quadratic equation. Since there are 6 cases to understand the graph of quadratic equation, this video will be a bit longer. So if you have time and if you have patience, then only continue with the video, or else you can watch it on some other time. Let us start. So when I talk about a quadratic equation, everyone knows that quadratic equation is written of the type ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Okay, now there are a few points which we have to analyze for this quadratic equation before moving on to the graph. When I write ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, I have one formula for x, which is x is equal to minus b plus minus b square minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, now in this particular formula, this b square minus 4ac is called as discriminant. If you are not sure with the discriminant, there is one video available on the channel. You'll find the link for that video along with this video only. Okay, so you can go through that as well if you want to know more about discriminant. So b square minus 4ac is called as discriminant, which is kind of discriminate between the nature of roots. Okay, now what is the meaning of that? So roots can be of two types. Roots of a quadratic equation means the solution. They can be of two types. Either they can be real or they can be imaginary. Based on this only we are going to get the graph. The real case arises when the value of d is greater than or equal to 0, and the imaginary case arises when it is less than 0. For greater than equal to 0 we have two further cases. One is greater than 0, one is equal to 0. When it is greater than 0, then it will be real and distinct. When it is equal to 0, it will be real and equal. And when d is negative, then roots are imaginary, so we can't do anything to it. Now how all of them will be visible on the graph, it is time to understand that. To draw a graph of quadratic equation, we have to always check the sign of a. A means the coefficient of x squared term. This is a quadratic equation. If the sign of a is positive, or if it is negative, these can be the two possibilities. Okay, so if it is positive, graph of quadratic equation, it is a parabola, but for a positive, it will give me an upward parabola. Okay, this is just a rough analysis of the graph we are doing. And for a less than 0, it will be a downward parabola. So in all, you can see here that for two different variants of a and three different variants of discriminant, we are going to get 6 cases for the graph of quadratic equation. Case number 1 will be a positive, d positive. This is a case when it is an upward parabola and there will be two distinct roots. So how the graph will look on the coordinate axis? It will somewhat look like this. This is just an illustrative graph where you have to understand few things, like these two are the x values. I can say x1 and x2. You can exactly see that the graph is intersecting x-axis at two different points, means there will be real and distinct roots. And it is an upward parabola, means it is a positive case. Case number 2. Case number 2 is a positive, d equal to 0. Now a positive means it will be an upward parabola, and d equal to 0 means it will have equal roots. So how the equal roots are visible on the graph? Let's say this horizontal line is an x-axis, so the parabola will be drawn like this. It will only touch at one particular value of x. I can call it as x1, just an illustrative value, and there will be only one root, which we can say that this is a case of equal root. So equal root arises when it is d equal to 0 and it is an upward parabola, means a is greater than 0. Time for case number 3. Case number 3 is a positive and d negative. Now the meaning of a positive and d negative means it is an upward parabola, but there are no real roots. No real roots means it will never touch or cut the x-axis. The graph will somewhat look like this. Graph can be anywhere on both the sides, like left or right. So this is just an illustrative graph which I am drawing. but you have to make sure it is not intersecting x-axis or even touching the axis. Okay, likewise, if you are clear with these cases, you can very easily replicate the 3 leftover cases. So now for case number 4, it is a case of A negative and D positive. Okay, go to case number 1, replicate it exactly. If it is A negative, then the graph will be a downward parabola and it will be drawn somewhat like this. Okay, so that is the difference. Because of A negative, it is a downward parabola, and because D is positive, it will be having 2 distinct values of x, which I can write it down as x1 and x2. Similarly, case number 5 will be A negative, D equal to 0. Go to case number 2, replicate the same thing. The parabola will be downward, that is the only change. So it is a parabola downward facing. D equal to 0 means it will only touch x-axis at one point. So this is a case of equal root, and hence this will be the graph. Case number 6, it is A negative and D negative. You can replicate the same thing from case number 3, where it was A positive and D negative. So it will not touch or cut the x-axis. It will be downward facing because of A negative, and this is how we can get the case number 6. Now it might be possible that we have done a lot in just 6 to 7 minutes, so you might have got confused. So it is just that you can watch the same video again to get through all these 6 cases. They are very easy. Just try to understand the value of D and A, and you will be able to understand the whole concept very easily. So if it is clear to you, please consider liking this channel. Please consider subscribing this channel, like the video, and if you have any doubt, you can put it in the comments, and you can even share it with your friends as well, so that they can also be benefited from these videos. Thank you.